Hello and welcome to week 4 of resource management for the leadership program. So in week 4, we're going to be focusing in on the power of the people book and project management for dummies. So chapters 7 to 9 and the power of people, and chapters 7 through 10 of project management for dummies. The only video for this week will be this video that I'm making right now. There are no YouTube videos for this week. It's just the 2 readings. And then the activities for this week, the assignments will be a discussion board post as usual, and then the 10 questions to ask yourself paper. So the 10 questions to ask yourself are a list of 10 questions starting on page 433 in the Project Management for Dummies book. A lot of these questions you've answered before through various different assignments. The entire point of this resource management course is to help you get the information about your project, especially its resource needs and its project management needs, from an abstract to very more specific things. The more specific that you can get with your lists of resources and stakeholders, etc., the better that project management goes. And then in a lot of cases, the easier it is to get buy-in from other interested parties. So as we get into the Power of People book, there's a lot of repeat in chapters 7 through 9. So you'll see familiar content, but this content then has a spin on just data analytics and data management. So chapter 7 starts talking about what is the purpose for the data management for our project. So why do we need data analytics? And so these are the 7 forces of demand, looking at which one of these, and your project might only have one, it might have a couple. So what are the different drivers for why a project would need data? Desire, or you would even be considering a project in the first place. So desire for competitive edge. You're trying to get a new market, you're trying to get new people into your organization. So you need to have information about your organization in order to do that. What are your marketing strengths? What is your competitive edge? What can you promote? Okay, requests coming from someone else. You're being forced to look for the data because your boss asked for it, or your boss's boss. Regulatory requirements. You have a reporting duty that is mandatory, that has to be done for some kind of regulatory requirement. You are trying to apply for a license, or you have to do regular reporting to the government for some reason. Okay. Need for efficiency and pressures to reduce costs. These are 2 extremely common reasons for data collection, especially internal data collection. How can we streamline our operations? How can we become more efficient? Generally, the more efficient you are, the less cost that you have. That's not always the truth, but it is a usual general rule. You could be getting pressure to reduce costs and looking at what you're doing, and if there are different ways that you can use less resources to do those. Concerns of a humanistic nature. So it's not truly just profit driven or cost driven. You might just want data because you have an interest in human nature or how humans behave, and you want to help improve that. You're looking for something to benefit society. In that case, it's not a financial need, it's a human need. And your human resources, just looking at your human resource function. And as you move into chapter 8, then that human resources gets a little bit more defined, and also with the chapters from the project management textbook for this week. So what does that human resources look like? Well, Chapter 8 in the Power of the People book then looks at stakeholders. And you might think, wow, we've talked about stakeholders a lot already. Well, there are a couple of new stakeholders introduced in this text as part of data analytics projects. So one is the data owners. So if you need information for your project for any reason, do you know where to go to get it? Who owns that data? Who has access to the data? And what are the rules about whether or not they can share that information with you? So how do you even get access to that data? In order to get access to the information that you need to know who owns that information. The technology owners. What technology do you need access to, and who controls that at your organization? Or is there new technology that you'd like to buy, and you need to know who controls the resources, the money, the technology, know-how, the expertise in order to bring a new technology onto campus? And then subject matter experts. Is there an area that you're looking into that you're not necessarily the expert on? Who can you tap into in your organization or even outside of your organization that can bring different kinds of expertise into your project, whatever your project is? For example, if you're trying to teach people something, and you've never taken a human resource class, or you don't have certification in a specific teaching thing, or you're looking at bringing in a leadership tool, but somebody has to be certified in that tool in order for you to use it at your organization. Are you going to become that subject matter expert, or are you going to utilize someone who is already a subject matter expert? Then as you move into chapter 9 in the Power of the People, it talks about how to choose projects. So how do we even look for projects? Their suggestion is that you start with a project that allows for a quick win. So they talk about 4 different projects in this chapter: quick win, big bets, trivial endeavors, and pet projects. And quick win is just a project with low to medium complexity with moderate to high impact that allows you to get kind of that in that shows your skills as a project manager. So it's a short term project with really high impact that you can get in and do quickly. A big bet is a high complex project that's going to take a lot of time and give you high impact. These are far more complex projects than the quick win projects. A trivial endeavor is a low to medium complexity and low to medium impact. So it's similar to the quick win, where it's not a very complex project, but it doesn't have a very high impact, and so it might not be worth your time and resources. And then the last is a pet project. This is an extremely difficult thing because as humans, we are drawn to pet projects. A lot of the times, we're far more interested in pet projects than we are in the 3 other kinds of projects. However, pet projects, this book will tell you, should be avoided because they have the lowest impact, because the only reason that we're in them is for our own personal reasons and not because we believe that there's a high impact for the organization or because there actually is a high impact for the organization. So it's really difficult also to identify a pet project, because when we're so drawn into that personal interest and how tied we are personally to that project, it can be difficult for us to see that it's more important to us than it is important to the entity or the organization. Okay, so then chapter 9 closes, but looking at that assessing complexity and impact. So how do we even decide how complex our project is and what those potential impacts are? So there's a list of the different complexities that we talk about. Is it a data complexity in that there's a lot of complex data, you need high analysis, high analytic tools, high tech savvy, or is it a high skill project where you need a lot of skill, you need a lot of trained people, or is it a political complexity where people are invested in it for organizational reasons or for their own personal interest reasons because it looks good? Remember, politics isn't always political complexity, gets a lot more into organizational culture than just talking about general politics. So what is driving that political complexity within your organizational culture? Okay, and then different impacts. What is the return on investment? So thinking about the resources that we put into this project and what is the potential return on that? How much time is it going to take? Is it a quick win? Is it something that we're not going to see returns on for 2 to 3 years? And then opportunity cost. So remember that opportunity cost is the cost of doing one alternative. So we only have so much time and energy. There's only 24 hours in a day, 7 days in a week, 365 days in a year. When I choose to do project A over project B, my opportunity cost is what I could have benefited from project B. And that again is an extremely difficult thing to measure because unless I did both projects, I wouldn't know what the true impact is. But you have to recognize that in selecting one path over another, that there was an opportunity that was foregone in that. Okay, we're going to look at the project management for dummies chapters in a second video.